One of the most anticipated EVs this year, an EV SUV no less, has finally been launched in India. Yes, we're talking about the Tata Sierra EV that's been launched at rupees 18.79 lakh. And yes, it has a lot going for it as this is Tata's fighter in the premium mid SUV segment, one of the most hotly contested SUV segments in the market. But there's also a lot going on with the car. One is, of course, the fact that it has that legacy badging, that Sierra brand name. And if you're someone like me that's grown up in the 90s and 2000s, then the Sierra was not just an SUV, it was an aspiration. So the badge has got a lot going with it. And there's also the fact that they managed to climb something like the Tal Murab in the UAE, create a lot of hype around it. But if you're someone that's looking to buy the car and wants clear details, well, this review's for you. And today we're going to tell you if the Sierra has what it takes, if it matches up to the badge, and if it's worth the premium over its rivals. One of the big highlights in this interior, it's actually very similar to what is being offered on the Sierra Ice. You get this sort of beige and grey dual tone layout with leatherette upholstery and this sort of fabric materials here to give a part of the recycled image. But one of the main highlights is this triple screen layout on these top spec models, especially on this Empowered and Empowered A and of course Empowered A QWD model. Tata introduced this triple screen layout with the Ice Sierra and they've more or less carried it on here. This screen on the leftmost section is for the passengers and their entertainment and can do things like YouTube and has games also, and also has a function where if you want to play any of the inbuilt games, you can sync up your phone and use that as a controller. This middle one is of course the infotainment screen running Tata's EV.OS. Very similar to what is being offered on the other models, just with a few more functions. Very similar interface, very easy to use, quick to get to functions. There are a mix of buttons outside and on the screen. And of course, you get a full digital instrument cluster, which is very nice to look at, bright HD quality graphics, all very nice to use. We do have to point out 2-3 things though with this. One is that this passenger screen, the third one that comes on the top spec models, doesn't have a privacy function. You don't get either the direct privacy mode like you get on some cell phone screens now, where you have to look at it only head on to get the view, nor do you get a function where the driver cannot see what's going on. Maybe that's something that Tata should consider for privacy's sake. The second is that that screen has no connection as sort to these. It's a completely separate screen. It might have the same functions, but works independently. And of course, the instrument cluster and the infotainment system can be a bit laggy at times, but otherwise everything works really nicely and adds to the overall appeal of the vehicle. One of the things that we think that Tata really needs to work on the interiors is this sort of capacitive buttons for this center section here that controls the climate control system and some of the other functions. Now, this is something that Tata introduced with the Curve a few years ago and has carried on to its other models also. Thing with this one is that it's gloss black, which means that while it looks very nice to use, it can quickly pick up fingerprint and dust. And the second is there's no haptic function, which means that if you press a button, you don't get like a little vibration or any kind of special sound to know that you're pressing that. Now, thankfully, Tata has spaced out the buttons enough that even when you're on the go and you can't really take your eyes off the road to press something, you know the exact amount of distance between the buttons, or you'll be able to figure it out eventually when using this. The instrument cluster is controlled majority by the steering controls. This is not a bad thing, as it's again that's more time for you with hands on the wheel. Some of the other design elements, like we said, this fabric material here with this sort of chrome insert, and Tata's 4-spoke steering wheel. Now, this 4-spoke steering wheel comes with a sort of beige insert here with chrome inserts here at the bottom, and it's only available for Safari Harrier, and now of course with the Sierra also. It's Tata's premium steering wheel. Now, we felt that Tata could have maybe put a bit of chrome here and also sort of added maybe a few sporty elements, but we suspect that will come later when Tata brings in special editions of this vehicle. Yes, Tata has confirmed that there will be special editions of the Sierra and Sierra EV, which will come about 5 to 6 months down the line. You can check that out in that story here that you see on the screen. Now, overall, it's a very airy space to be in this front row, and Tata seems to have done a pretty nice job, at least at this moment, in this initial level of usage. Some of the quality here is actually pretty decent. You get decent quality plastics here, soft touch materials here. One of the oddities we do have to point out though is that if you're someone that rests their knee on the door handle while driving, you're going to trigger window locks, which kind of works on a capacitive function here, especially with the edge of the knee. You're going to trigger the button here. Maybe that's something that you should look out for. Do you own a top spec ICE Sierra? Have you used the triple screen layout regularly? What has been your experience? Let us know about that too in the comment section below. We're here in the second row of this Tata Sierra EV, and it's actually a pretty decent space to be in. Now, we have to point out a few things. One is that, again, like we said, it has the same dimensions as the Sierra ICE, which means that you get the same amount of space inside. And for two people, the headroom, shoulder room, and leg room is pretty good. If you fit a third one here, then shoulder room is going to be a bit tight because this car is a little bit narrow. And some of the other major features here include rear AC vents, USB-C charging ports with 65-watt function for this one on the right, which means you get fast charging, 1-liter bottle holders in both the doors with a sort of easily accessible angle. You get a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and the second row can fold down for additional space. Now, thanks to the large windows, the modern interpretation of what Tata calls its iconic Alpine windows, the thing that made the Sierra, it feels very spacious now, especially if you take the top spec version that comes with a panoramic sunroof. It's very spacious with this beige color here and this sort of light gray. It feels very light, very airy, and very spacious here. And that's something that's going to be important because this is at a sort of price point where people are going to consider to be chauffeur driven in this vehicle. And having a good rear seat package, you also get a sort of lounge function where the first row folds down. You probably have to remove the headrest, and this attaches into one, and you can lounge here if you're someone or if that is something that you want to do. That's also a function available here. Now, we do have to point out a few other things though. One is that while everything feels nice to use, again, beige interiors and gloss black plastic, something that Tata has been putting in a lot of its car, but beige interiors in a country like India get soiled and stained very quickly. Gloss black plastic picks up fingerprints and dust very quickly. Maybe that's something you'll have to contend with. This is the boot of the Sierra EV, very similar to what is being offered on the ICE. With the second row up, you get 622 liters. It's a lot of boot capacity. The loading lip is slightly high, but it's tall inside, so you can fit quite a bit. And of course, the second row seats fold down for a significant amount of additional space. In this top spec model, you get an auto opening boot. It can either be done from the dash or you get a button here. Now, one thing you do have to be careful about is the fact that this doesn't open high enough, especially if you're slightly on the taller side. The boot space is going to be a little less in terms of you going in and out of it, and you have these side design elements, a part of the Sierra legacy here. And if you're not careful, especially if you're on the taller side, you're going to hit your head on the edge of this. Something you need to be careful about. In this fully loaded empowered A guys, the Sierra EV is a loaded animal. Highlights of the feature list include triple screen package, digital instrument cluster, powered and ventilated front seats, power opening boot with 622 liters of storage space, 6 airbags, full LED light package, dual zone climate control with rear AC vents, controllable regen with 3 stages, and a boost mode for when you really want to go fast, for which you need access to all 504 Nm of torque. We're behind the wheel of this Tata Sierra EV, and it can be had with 2 battery packs, as we said before. There's a 63 kWh battery pack and there's a 75 kWh battery pack. Very similar to what is being offered on the Harrier EV. And it's the 63 kWh battery pack and the lower spec versions of the 75 all come with rear wheel drive as standard. What we have in the video is QWD, or quad wheel drive, which is essentially all wheel drive. It's a dual motor setup offering up to about 315 bhp of power and 504 nm of combined torque. It's one of the highest in the segment. Let's look at ride quality first, something that Tata has always been good at. That's as we keep saying that this Tata has had 30 plus years of experience building cars for Indians in India, which means that it has quite a strong grip on ride quality. Car feels very planted despite it being that heavy. Possibly that could also be one of the advantages of having a big battery pack, having dual motors. That means you have a kind of balanced out setup on both ends of the car. So the car feels very planted, especially at high speed. It doesn't feel light or squirmy. Even if you suddenly brake, it feels but very, very stable. And that is very confidence assuring, especially if you need to cover long distances. If you decide to do long distances with this car, you take that chance and you go for long distances, then this feels very, very planted. Now, working with this is the fact that the steering feels very heavy and very cumbersome. It's not lightweight. Even at low speed, it takes a lot of effort for you to make 3-point turns, to make U-turns. It's a slow steering to respond. Some of it may have been dialed in considering the size and the kind of power that the vehicle offers, so that the average buyer doesn't get overwhelmed by the sudden nature of the electric powertrain. Speaking of that, the throttle is also kind of lazy in its response. It's not immediate. You normally, when you drive an EV, especially with this kind of power and torque, you expect an immediate response. Probably, if the car was a little lighter, it would be a lot more immediate. But the throttle feels kind of dialed back, especially if you're in the extra lights eco mode, which is for to offer you maximum range. The throttle feels very light and feels, for want of better term, labored, right? You have to wait for it to sort of respond, especially if you put pedal to the metal when you go from standstill. But on the go, it does what it's supposed to do. You get different drive modes with it. There's eco, sport, city, and there's even something called boost mode. The icon for boost mode is like a little rocket. In eco mode, it feels a little more dialed down. In city and sport, the differences are like one step. Whereas in boost mode, which is for want of better term, a party piece, right? Boost mode gives you access to all 504 nm of torque, and in boost mode, the car feels light, it takes off. But the price of boost mode is that in eco mode at 100% charge, when we started driving, it was showing around 590 kilometers. But when you come to boost mode, lops off something like almost 50 or 60 kilometers off your complete range to be able to provide you that kind of boost. And that, which means that even though it's addictive to keep using the boost mode, it comes at the price of having a range. That is essentially one of the things that you should be prepared for. This car feels heavy. It doesn't feel nimble. One, because of the battery pack, and two, that whatever speed and powerful things that it can achieve, like we went off-roading, which we shall get to in a bit. We went off-roading. All the car feels heavy, and you can kind of understand that whatever fast figures are coming is because of a heavy amount of battery boost and not some kind of lightweight ability, which is also fine. I mean, that's the nature of this vehicle, and for the most, the people that would buy it will probably use it in city conditions and may go on a few rough trails at best. Now, like we said, as a car to drive, the steering feels heavy, it feels cumbersome at low speed, and it surprisingly does weigh up decently as you go faster. Like when you're doing triple digit speeds or highway speeds, the car feels stable, planted, the steering responds as it's supposed to. The modes don't affect the steering, which means that it only changes the response of the throttle. So that's not something you're going to be about. This absolute top of the line version that we're driving comes with ADAS. That's level 2 ADAS, and the ADAS is pretty strong. It does whatever it's supposed to do: gain, keep assist, adaptive cruise control. You even get low speed follow. Now Tata says that it can do low speed follow for speeds under 10 kilometers an hour, and the ADAS works very well with the electric powertrain, keeping you in line. Now ADAS might not be best suited to Indian conditions, but Tata seems to have got a good grip on it, and it's working well with this system. Now, if you have driven the ICE Sierra, if you've had a chance to drive the Sierra EV. If you're an owner of a Sierra EV, let us know about your driving experiences, what you think about this car. And we will, of course, when the car turns up in the CarWale garage, we'll do a real world range test. We'll maybe check out more of how the all wheel drive works and tell you if there are any pros and cons with it. Now, in terms of value for money variant, if you look at the base variant, there are quite a few features that Tata has made standard. It's a pretty significant list, and I think Tata has had to go big, especially in the base variant, because the base variant starts at a much higher range as compared to similar size vehicles from other rival manufacturers that this vehicle is going up against. There are a large number of features standard. But if the base isn't your thing and you want to go a step higher, or rather a step further, then our value for money variant pick would be the adventure variant, because the adventure variant is again a big step between the previous variant and the next one. It packs in a significant number of features, and we think that the adventure variant is pretty good value for money. And also the fact that in the adventure variant is the point where you get both battery pack options. You get the 63 as well as you get the 75 also, and that's something that should play into the favor of this car. But again, we have to point out for a third time, if you want all-wheel drive or quad-wheel drive as Tata's calling it, then the Empowered A is your only option. The fully loaded top-spec model comes with all the bells and whistles. In this case, one of the bells and whistles also includes ADAS. ADAS only starts from the Empowered A variant, the A being ADAS. And like we said, quad-wheel drive, if you want, it's right at the top. Now, if you want all the details on this Sierra EV, be it in the pure base variant or the Empowered A QWD variant, which is what we have in the video today, then you can head over to the CarWale mobile app or the mobile site for all the details, things like on-road prices, specs, features, warranty details, and of course, detailed comparison with the rivals. While the base variant is quite comprehensive and the adventure variant is our choice of the lot, the Empowered A QWD model does have some important rivals. The first and foremost is the Kia Carens Clavis EV in the X-Line ER trim, which offers 3 rows of seating and a pretty decent feature list, but loses out to the Sierra in terms of features, warranty package and all-wheel drive. Without the all-wheel drive option, the equivalent Empowered A variant is priced at Rs 24.79 lakh. Next up is the Mahindra BE6, which is bigger but offers a similar feature list. It has a smaller battery pack and rear-wheel drive only. The Sierra has a more conventional look as compared to the BE6, offers more boot space, and while it is more expensive, it does have an all-wheel drive option in the top spec variant. Perhaps the one car that really matches the Sierra EV in this Empowered A QWD variant is the VinFast VF7 in its top spec Sky Infinity variant. The VinFast is bigger and offers a similar feature list, power and torque figures, claimed range, and also has all-wheel drive. However, Tata's advantage is its legacy badging as well as its bigger sales and service network. Are there some rivals that you think we've missed for the Tata Sierra EV? Is there something else you want to know about these cars? Let us know in the comment section below. We've driven the Tata Sierra EV in this QWD fully loaded Empowered A variant, and here are our experiences with the car. We'll be doing this in the form of pros and cons, things we like and things that we think Tata needs to work on. Now, in terms of things we like, one is the design, right? It matches the design of the ICE, which was already a pretty handsome looking car. Looks are usually subjective, but there's no denying that it's a car that will get attention, and maybe that is what you want. The average Sierra buyer is kind of looking for that, and maybe that's something that will work in its favor. The second is the powertrain. Even when we started the drive this morning at 100% charge, it was showing a claimed range of 590 kilometers. Then that is in the eco mode, kind of adjusts itself depending on the mode. But even then, for a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, on paper at least, that's a pretty decent number. How this will shape up in real life, maybe that's something we'll be able to tell you, or rather that's something we will tell you when the Sierra EV arrives in the CarWale garage and we're able to do CarWale's real world range test with this vehicle. The third thing that works in its favor is features. It's loaded to the gills with features, and we're not talking about the big stuff. Yes, it has those segment expected features, things like dual zone climate control, leatherette upholstery, big screens, LED light package, 19-inch alloy wheels, right? Everything looks and feels nice and premium, at least right now in the start. Is the case with most Tata cars, and it has everything. It, like, if you take a list and check it off, it has everything. It's the little things that make the difference, right? Like, for example, you have a whole bunch of connected apps that let you do things with the car, things like setting temperature and using some of the remote functions. It comes with an auto park function. It's the first car in the segment to come with an auto park function, and that 540-degree camera, as or grand view as Tata's calling it, which is actually pretty effective. It gives you a good view all around. You even get something underneath, right? That was Land Rover technology, which Tata has taken and used as its. Also, the fact that even though on paper it's not that big a car, it's actually very spacious inside. Some of it may also be down to the fact that it has those beige interiors, a panoramic sunroof, the Alpine windows, which give it a very airy feeling. This airy feeling also allows you to have a good view all around, like especially when you're out on the road, you get a good view all around. And if you've taken the top spec version, you get a 360-degree camera, the 540-degree camera. Now, things that we think that Tata needs to work on. One is the cost, right? It should have had a lower starting price, even though the pure variant is actually very loaded up. It's actually pretty decent value for money if you go in for it. Okay. The other thing is, of course, after sales and service. Now, with this car, in the time that we have driven it, there seems to be no issues. But maybe it's something that Tata needs to look at going forward. As you can tell in the other drives, if you see our other videos, we have had quality issues with Tata in the past, and it's maybe something that Tata needs to work on. Third is the fact that there's all-wheel drive only on the top end, all-wheel drive and ADAS only on the top end, right? All-wheel drive is understandable. It's an expensive technology. There's almost a lakh and a half leap that you need to make between the empowered rear-wheel drive and the empowered all-wheel drive. But ADAS should have been offered on the lower variants, at least in some form or the other. It's only available from the empowered A, essentially the A being ADAS variant. So there you have it, our first impressions of this Tata Sierra EV. What do you think of this car? Do you think that Tata should have added anything? Do you think there should have been more lower spec variants with a bigger feature list and a bigger spread out? That's actually something that Tata does well, like 99 to 100 different variants. Do you think Tata should have diversified this to expand its appeal? Let us know in the comment section below. And what do you want us to do with the car when it comes to the CarWale garage? Let us know about that too in the comment section below. And before we sign off, here's a reminder to hit those like, share and subscribe buttons, and also that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.